What session times do you trade? Do you take trades BEVOR? Oh, before um, the CL or ES Open? Do you trade during the lunch break? Um, when and how do you take breaks? So I trade pretty much anytime. I don't care if it's lunchtime. I don't care if it's an hour before the open. I'll trade anytime that I'm awake and actively prepared and trading. In terms of breaks, I'm not one that's big on like hard, fast, time-based breaks and like I don't have a very tremendously structured routine through the day. I am aware of myself and what I'm feeling and what I'm needing and what my schedule calls for and whatnot. I'm not just a trader anymore, right? I have Apteros, I have other traders, other commitments, um, you know, things that I need to do and take care of. So um that type stuff gets worked into my schedule. Pretty much my morning trading hours when I'm trading, um, which is most every day, by the way. That sounded like I'm not trading a lot. Um, is sacred kind of. I've done that for years and years and years. It doesn't matter what meeting I need to take or what I need to do during the morning, hours. I'm blocking everything else and I'm focused on markets. Obviously, I'm monitoring risk of my traders. I have a team around the world who also is doing that. But I guess most importantly, with me, with monitoring traders, I'm monitoring their decisions. I'm looking at what they're doing relative to what they said they were going to do and what we're working on with them. How many minutes or seconds before and after major news do you not hold any positions? So holding into a position. So sometimes I do hold into an event, but that's if I've built up a good enough cushion, usually taking partial profits and the price is at least XYZ based on volatility and what I think in terms of that event and what typically comes, or not all Fed um, conferences and interest rate decisions and whatnot are created equal. Some are boring, the market is leaning on an edge, waiting, right? So it depends on the situation. But non-farm payrolls or CPI or whatever, if I've got a cushion, then I'll hold into it. If it's a narrative that I have conviction in that I want to hold into. Otherwise, I'll just flatten out, you know, 30 seconds before it, just before things start to get illiquid and start to bounce around. And then once the news is out, I don't have any hard fast times of waiting. I'll go with I typically won't trade, let's say, the first rotation, right? And it depends on how fast it's moving, right? If it just the bottom drops out, I'm not going to make any decision. I'm not going to buy as that's dropping, right? Um, I'm also not just going to sell because it's dropping. So I'm not doing anything typically the first move. Um, if it slows down and I start to see some stabilization, and I'm still talking within a few seconds here or whatever, I'm looking at volume bars, they might start printing rapidly. And I get a decent turn and that lines up with a premeditated plan or trade, I can take that trade. A lot of times, though, it goes sharply one way and then it starts to go really, really sharply back the other way. I'm still going to be hands off. I'm going to wait for some semblance of rhythm to establish back in this market. And for that, I do not have a time based set of rules or metrics. Would you recommend concentrating on breakout pullbacks, return pullbacks alone until one is a CPT? Not necessarily, but I think that you're on the right line of thinking there, in that a lot of people who just try to put it all together and do every single piece of what I do, not that I'm smarter than them or in any way better than them in terms of trading at all. I'm just a normal person and a terrible natural human trader. Um, I think it is a very good idea to focus on some of the simpler things, right? So maybe focus just on some of these, as you're suggesting, structural composite type trades, or even prior value of a really good balance before you start to really get deep into multiple time frame, long-term VWAP analysis, ranking and distilling all that complex information, or you keep it simple and you use maybe just one of those in combination with um, the more cut and dry structural ideas. So I do think that's a very good idea to focus on simpler first and then kind of expand your repertoire. Um, and that could possibly go to intraday framework use as well, just kind of focusing on rotational plays versus focusing on going with imbalances. There's all kinds of ways you can simplify as you kind of build and acquire skills, which is what we work on in advanced group mentoring, acquiring particular skills and seeing where we're weak, and then setting goals around improving those skills week after week. It was like a poem, that rhyme.